I'd like to tell you a bit about what inspired this sculpture and how I hope the sculpture will inspire you. Now, this story has two parts. The first is about a girl named Malala. When a 14-year-old girl in Pakistan was shot because she was going to school because she wanted an education, I was outraged. The whole world was outraged. The whole world wanted to help save her life. Her injuries were so severe that she had to be taken to England, where special doctors waited to help make her better again. She spent many months in hospital. She was very, very sick. Everyone around the world waited to see if she would get better. And against all odds, Malala did get better. And those people wanted to see for themselves that she was okay. So it was arranged that a photographer would come to take her picture. Malala had the nurses remove the oxygen tube that helped her breathe. She had them help her get out of bed and into a chair. Then she asked for a book. This is the photograph taken that day. Malala knew that people around the world would see this photograph, and she intended to prove that the people who tried to stop her from getting an education did not win. Now on to the second part of our story. This part is about a man named Al Green. Al Green isn't famous, but that doesn't mean he isn't very important to this story, and many other people's stories too. For many years, Al Green built apartment and office buildings in Toronto. He became rich with money, but he wasn't always very happy. Then one day, he discovered the healing power of art, of making art and sharing art. He especially loved sculpture and began to discover his own inner artist. These are a few of his pieces here. Now, Al Green had always been a philanthropist, giving money to many charities, but now he decided to share his wealth with artists and inspire others to love art as much as he did. He commissioned large sculptures and put them in front of his buildings. He endowed a gallery at the Art Gallery of Ontario. He endowed a theater where people could see plays and dances. He started paying for health care for artists. I could go on and on. Al believes that anyone can become an artist. They just need a bit of help. Not just teachers. They need space, equipment, and money to pay for it all. So in 2000, Al started the Al Green Sculpture Studio and School, which his foundation continues to fund today. One day I found myself wanting to make art. I'd never made art before and I didn't know how. I went to the Al Green Sculpture Studio and met the director, Melanie Tchaikovsky, to whom I am forever indebted. Even though I knew nothing, she invited me to become a member and handed me a small mound of clay. So how do parts 1 and 2 of our story fit together? You'll see in a moment how inspiration feeds inspiration feeds inspiration, like a giant circle that goes round and round, just like the earth, the sun, and all the stars. I'd been a member of the Al Green Sculpture Studio for about 1.5 years when Malala was shot. Remember this photograph? Malala's bravery, intelligence, force of will, and sheer determination inspired me. I wanted that moment to live on forever. And what better way than through a sculpture? I'd never sculpted anything so large. I was just learning how to sculpt the human form. In other words, I was inspired to do something I never imagined I could do. It took 2 long years to make the sculpture in clay. Every time I thought I couldn't do it, that the task I'd taken on was too big, was beyond me, I thought about Malala. I thought about what she had taken on, and I was inspired to keep trying. The other artists at the studio kept urging me on, and Melanie kept teaching me how to sculpt. Now, during those 2 years, some amazing things happened to Malala. She was chosen Time Magazine's #2 Person of the Year for 2012, and in 2013 was voted one of the world's most influential people. In 2014, she received the highest award that can be given, the Nobel Peace Prize. She is the youngest person ever to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. That's amazing. As if all that weren't enough, on her 16th birthday, Malala spoke at the United Nations. In that speech, she said, "Let us pick up our books and our pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. I decided to engrave those very wise and inspiring words into the base of this sculpture, which, at this point in time, was almost finished. It was as good as I could make it. During those 2 years, people would ask, "What are you going to do with it?" I thought long and hard about that question. I thought about how this sculpture would not exist if it weren't for the generosity of Al Green. That generosity inspired me. Now, my family is not wealthy, but we have more than enough to share. So I decided to make as many copies of the sculpture as I could and donate them to school libraries, so that Malala would always be there to inspire children, even when she isn't in the news or on a magazine cover. This all started with a small ball of clay and inspiration. But many people helped make this happen. I won't list them all here. Know that I am deeply grateful to each and every one of them. Malala continues to grow into her role as a truly inspirational world leader. Through the Malala Fund, she is working to raise girls' voices and ensure every girl has access to 12 years of free, safe, quality education. Here in Canada, we have that. We're very lucky. Not every child in the world is so lucky. So cherish your education. As Malala says, education is the only solution. In closing, my hope is, as you pass by this sculpture in your library, that you will be inspired. Inspired to stay in school, inspired to read books, to help others, to try something new, to conquer your fears, inspired to inspire others. Thank you.